All right, I got another one for you today. We're gonna be reacting to some a Andrew Tate compilation video here. Now, I've heard Andrew Tate's name throughout the internet. I've recently heard about him being banned all over social media. I think he's now on True Social, if I'm not mistaken. But I just haven't really watched any of the clips where it's like, any of his talking points to where people piss a lot of people off. And I know he had some pretty, some talking points that really, rub people the wrong way. But I'm really dwell into him and see for myself what he's really talking about. So this video is fair use, and let's get into it.
Well, I'll tell you, the feminization of the world is absolutely destructive to the Western world because there's never been a successful matriarchy in the history of humanity.
No, not true. What about England?
Queen
Victoria.
Having a female in charge is different than a matriarchy. When I talk about matriarchy, I mean, on average, in the household, the man was in charge. On average, men were in charge of the society on average. You could have a female head of state. But on average, it was the men who were ruling society. The men were in charge of
working and providing. Women
the women were listening to the men on average.
Right.
That's my point. On average, right. So I've had this argument with a feminist before. She's like, "Oh well, we've never tried matriarchies. We've only tried patriarchies." Blah blah blah. And I said, "Listen, bitch."
Oh man.
Yeah.
He went there.
They have been tried.
He went there.
But the problem is this.
Yeah.
The closer you are to the base level of survival, the more people naturally revert to their gender roles. If 10 men and 10 women were on a boat and they got shipwrecked, the men would instantly start shelter, fire, hunting, and the women would start doing the women things. When you get rid of all the crap and all the society and all the programming, people revert to their gender roles.
And you know what? With this first talking point here, I 100% agree. Like if there ever was a matriarchy, it would go to shit. Like without men running everything and being in charge and being in control of a lot of what's going on in the world, like the world would just crumble. Because it is natural. It's always been natural for men to lead, build, create, provide, and protect, with women nurture and gather. And when people revert back to that, things will go back to normal. I think that people today want to reverse everything and have the women be men and women be women. Like I said in my previous video, we live in such a backwards society now, and he sees that. So he's just pointing it out, but he's getting a lot of hate for this, which is crazy. This is why they want to kick him off the internet. Well, you can't kick him completely off the internet. I think he has his own platform. But let's continue to what he has to say here.
The reason we do that is because it gives us the best possible chance of survival. That's why in poor countries where survival is harder, people are closer to their natural gender roles.
Totally.
Oh, wow.
So that makes sense as a whole. So this feminist is saying to me, "Oh, yeah, but we've never tried a matriarchy." I said, "No, I'm sure it's been tried. The problem is it's very, very difficult to survive under a matriarchy. It's not the natural gender roles. And the matriarchies that did exist in humanity, I'm sure they existed. The reason we don't discuss them is they never even got a chance to create any history because they were fucking decimated by the patriarchy."
Boom. He just slammed that whole argument like anything that's a matriarchy goes to shit. That's basically what he said. It would be destroyed by patriarchy because patriarchies are in their natural roles, and then people work or function better as a unit under patriarchy versus a matriarchy. And also, she's like, there's probably been matriarchies throughout history that we don't know of because history's always been made by winners, not losers. Let's continue.
What is the statistical odds? Someone at home, some feminist, if you can do some fucking math, you bimbo, work this out. What are the odds of every single society since the dawn of human time all across the planet being run by men? All of them. This is not an idea that could have spread. You had the Aztecs and the Mao dynasty. They didn't fucking talk. This is every single civilization that we can ever possibly name or discover, men were in charge. The reason for that is because all the ones where women were in charge got fucking wiped out because they're not competitive. So what happens is, and they lose to patriarchies. So what's going to happen here as we become feminized, as the Western world becomes a matriarchy, as women get more and more influence and power, feminists are fucking walking down the street saying we want the same rights as men. You have more rights than men. There's not a single thing a man can do a woman can't do, but you have a whole bunch of laws in your favor. You have more rights than men already. So what the fuck are you talking about? And then they say they want to be respected for their ideas, and they get their tits out because nobody gives a shit unless they're naked. They're fucking dumb.
Okay, he hit the nail on the head with all that. I don't think there's anything to collaborate on. He pretty much said it.
You're thinking of men and women as men and women have completely different roles in society. We have completely different attributes, completely different advantages. We go through life in completely different ways. You can't compare us as an equal. You wouldn't.
Yeah, men and women were never meant to be equal to each other at all. The reason we're so different because it complements each other. Men can do things women can't. Women can do things men can't, and that's how we balance each other out. Because if we try to be equal to each other, it's just not going to work.
Consider men and women equal in 99% of situations where men are expected to perform. You would not consider yourself an equal if you're rolling with your boy and a guy rolled up on you trying to hurt you. You'd expect your man to fight, right? That's a man's job. You can't say we're equal when it suits you and we're not equal when it doesn't suit you.
Loyalty.
We are not the same. We are not the same. It's the reality of the world. We're not the same. And the reason women, they have unlimited options, are out here sleeping with a new food every single day is because they won't sleep with a man they don't have at least some degree of feeling for. That's the difference. You will have some feelings for somebody you would sleep with. I promise you, a dude can sleep with a chick and she can get in a car crash and he won't give a fuck. I'm telling you, that's the game.
Oh boy. I can see how that would rub some people the wrong way. Not me. I understand what he's talking about. But we live in a soft society that they're going to hate. I see why guys like him get so much hate on the internet because society's gotten softer. It's gotten more in touch with their feminine side. We don't want to embrace, masculinity anymore. And that's been a problem, which is how it creates men like Andrew Tate to even exist on these online spaces because it gives more pushback to the main agenda. That's what I'm looking for, to the main agenda to feminize men in the Western world while empowering women, making them the new men. And I tell you that right now, that's never going to work.
That's the difference between it.
It's true.
That's the first fallacy. I've let you talk. Now it's my turn. That's the first fallacy. The second fallacy is this whole patriarchy bullshit you're saying that are outdated ideas of masculinity.
Yeah.
The idea of patriarchy is not an outdated idea of masculinity. Perhaps in the West, in a declining empire, as we've already discussed on this stream, in an empire which is in absolute decline, you can have men who sit here and think there's absolutely nothing necessary about masculinity in the modern world, and that you don't need to be strong or brave or any of these things. You can sit around and cry and you're still a man. That is not true in most places on the planet. In most places on the planet, men need to be capable and competent because if they don't, they do not survive. And I'll tell you something now, sir. I'll tell you something else now. You will sit here and talk right now about the patriarchy and how you can be in touch with your feelings and all this bullshit. The second you're physically assaulted or physically threatened, the first thing you do is you call a toxically masculine police officer to turn up with a weapon to protect you because you cannot protect yourself. You're not against the idea of masculine power. You're not against the idea of men who have masculine.
This dude up here in the corner is a total fucking goofball. Is that a Britney? Dude's wearing a Britney Spears shirt, got pink hair. Like someone who looks like this trying to explain anything to me about how patriarchy is bad, I immediately dismiss that shit because I can't. Just looking at you and how you present yourself to me, you want to school me on masculinity, and you look like this? No. I immediately stop listening because you apparently reject your masculinity, but you want to school me on mine. Get the fuck out of here.
Imperatives to defense. All you've done is outsource it to someone else to do at the end of a phone call because you're too scared to do it yourself. So you're fucking lying. You live in a society. If you were the same person in most places on the planet, you would have had your ass beat because you are a weakling. And weaklings are not respected. Let me tell you something, my friend, I'll let you talk afterwards. Never in human history, in any single civilization, in any single empire across the history of Earth, have men been celebrated for their weakness. Ever once. It doesn't matter if you were an Aztec or the Mao dynasty from China all the way to South America. In every single history book you can read, men who were respected and men who had stories written about them were written about them because they were strong.
Yeah, like I said earlier, winners write history. No one gives a damn about the people who died. The people who won throughout history, who won wars and battles and things like that, they get to write what goes in the history books. They get remembered. They get respected. They get the women. That's always how it worked. Losers get no respect anywhere in the world. That's a fact.
Weak men have never been respected. Weak men have never mattered. For you to come along and say, I think it's okay to be weak is fine. That is your initiative. That is your decision. But the reason you have done that is because you lack brave. You lack balls.
No,
you lack bravery.
Lack balls. Dude, I have more balls than you'll ever have, boss. Because you...
No, if you really believe what this guy's saying, he says he has more... Come on, man. You have pink hair and a Britney Spears t-shirt on, and you sound like you have no bass in your voice at all. Stop it.
You're changing the goalpost here because you're the one who's sitting here calling emotional strength and emotional vulnerability. You're defining it as weakness, but it's not.
All forms of strength are important. You're saying
it's
that.
Not.
Yes, it is. Physical strength is just as important as emotional strength.
Emotional strength is actually more powerful than physical strength.
Yeah, this dude's a fucking moron. I wouldn't even shake this dude's hand. I wouldn't shake this dude's hand, hang out with him, have a drink. No, because if you look like this, and yeah, of course, you're going to say stupid shit like what you see on the screen here. Oh, emotional strength is not as important, or excuse me, physical strength is not as important as physical strength. That's what this guy said here. Who thinks like that? I don't know if he was raised with a father in the home, but something tells me he probably wasn't, and which is why he acts like a little feminine bitch. But let's continue.
Strength. Because the fact of the matter, no matter how physically strong you are, somebody bigger could come along and beat your ass. But it's emotional strength that helps you survive the ass beating.
You're right. That's a good point. You're saying, so when someone comes along to assault you, you won't call the police afterwards and you won't fight back. You'll lay in a ball, you get an ass kicking, but you're emotionally strong enough to just deal with the fact that you got an ass whooping in front of everyone. No, and that's fine. And everyone should be like you. And that, you know what
I'm not saying
people like you are called in most places in the world. People like you are called in most places in the world are victims. We're called prey.
Studs.
You're a prey.
We're called studs.
And let me tell you something. When I inspire men to grow up and be their biggest, strongest version of themselves, emotionally, mentally, physically, in every single realm, that is not a negative. Those are the exact kind of women, I would never, ever give my time of day to. Any woman is going to sit there and think it's more important to argue with me about how she is as capable as a man, everything, blah, 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 as opposed to just letting me pay the bill and be pleasant. It's not the kind of woman I want to fucking talk to because it's uninteresting. And it's a Western phenomenon. It truly is a Western phenomenon. I've been to 72 countries. I've lived in 13, right? I've been all around the world. Well, let me tell you, this is a Western phenomenon. And it's truly and utterly Western. If you were to go on a date in America, you'd have a girl sitting there trying to tell you she's your equal. If you were to go on a date in Moscow, you'd have a girl sitting there going, my man needs to take care of me. I want him to take care of me. I'll do my job, but he must protect and provide for me. So it's a Western phenomenon, right? It depends.
He's right. Like a lot of tactics that we have here in the West are not really going, they're not going for that in other places around the world, which is why I hear a lot of guys who travel, outside the United States. They really talk about how different it is around the world versus here. And then usually when they come back to America, they realize how much of a bubble we really, most Americans live in because we have it's like our own little utopia. We have so much freedom here, so much freedom of choice. I'm not saying freedom of choice is bad or anything like that, but like it does create a false sense of what the outside world is like outside of the United States. I think most people probably don't have what we have around the world. But people around the world have running water and electricity just like we do. It is what it is. But like he said, like Andrew Tate just said, even the dating dynamics are different. Here in America, she could probably say, yeah, like he said, you're my equal, blah 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 blah. Somewhere else in the world, they expect a man to be a man. And then you being in America and being so used to how things are here, you go to these other countries and you realize how different it is. It's like a culture shock almost. I'm sure I'll realize that by the time I'm ready to travel abroad.
Depends where you go. It depends. And this whole idea of this obsession with equality is a truly Western thing. And I don't think it's particularly healthy or important. I don't look at a woman thinking, is she my equal? Is she below me? Is she above me? I don't do that. I sit with a woman and we either enjoy each other's company or we don't. But I know my roles as a man. I believe that as a man, I should pay for the first date. I believe I should open the car door. I believe I should protect for her, provide for her. I believe if she's my woman, she should be able to come to me with her problems and I should fix them. That makes me a sexist and a horrible person. Fine. This is the point. Me saying that I'm going to protect and provide for women and that gives me a degree of authority. If that makes me sexist, so be it. But I'm going to be responsible for my woman. I'm going to do the best I can possibly by her. I'm going to protect her in every possible way, give her the best life I can possibly give her. And by extension, that gives me a degree of authority. Why would I be having all that responsibility for her to sit there and say, I don't fucking listen to you? That doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. Because if you're responsible for that particular woman, yeah, she has to listen to you and understand that, the man's the head. She's the tail. He leads. She follows. There's really nothing wrong with what he said, but I see why people are mad at him for saying this because here in the West, we live in such a backward society where, we want the women to be strong, independent, not need a man, to talk crap about men, say men are bad. But anytime a dude comes up and says anything similar to what Andrew Tate has been saying, it's it's immediately demonized on the drop of a hat by most women and a lot of these weak men that we have here in the West. It's a fact.
Healthy relationship has mutual respect. So in a healthy relationship, the man will say X and the woman will say, yeah, I agree with that. Okay, I won't do it. I'm not saying it has to be a command orders. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that if a man's responsible, he should have an authority. Yeah. How are you going to sit there to the dude sitting with a bunch of beautiful women in his mansion and then say, you're a sexist, you're ugly, you're a 3. These chicks are hot and they chose me. I don't give a fuck what you say. I'm not interested.
It's interesting.
It's actually very unfortunate. It's kind of unfortunate because women are completely and utterly solely judged on how they look. Like a lot of these feminists are fucking, they're so busted. Like if you're going to be a feminist, at least get hot first. Because if you're hot, you'll matter. Oh, the hot bitch said this.
Women can't do that, so it's a double standard.
It's a double standard. But life is full of double standards.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean any, like, listen, regardless with your philosophies and everything that you keep
It's not my philosophy.
No, but I'm saying, okay, life is full of double standards.
Correct.
I understand that. But in a relationship,
correct,
it's a partnership.
Yes.
Right. You and me, we're together.
Since when?
You know what I'm saying.
That's a good one. I ain't gonna lie. That's a good rebuttal right there. I ain't gonna lie.
The end goal is you two together.
Agreed.
I
know. I understand where you're coming from. My point is that relationships and life is full of double standards as a whole. A man's going to pay for everything everywhere you go, right? This is his duty as a man. Do you agree?
No, I do like traditional.
Okay, so you agree. So you're traditional, right? So if you want to talk about traditional, let's talk about tradition. Every single man since the dawn of human time had more than one woman. Every single king, every single emperor, every single sultan, every single conqueror since the dawn of human time had more than one woman. All of them. Every single one. Read a history book. Read the Bible. It's all in there. The Quran, all of it. You want to talk about tradition, it's all there. The only reason your mind is different, the only reason you believe differently is because of society. Society's come along and told you. My point is this. If I had a woman, I would decide not to cheat because I decide. However, I would not see my infidelity as nearly anywhere near even 1% as disgusting as female infidelity, because female infidelity involves emotion. You will not sleep with a man you don't like. I can sleep with a woman I don't like. It's a completely different thing. I can be head over heels in love with a woman, ready to die for her, ready to take a bullet for her, protect her, give her all the money in the world, make sure she has a beautiful family, a nice big house, all of it. And I'll still f that bitch. Watch me. A woman won't do that. So don't lie to me and pretend. No, you won't. Any woman who will sit here and say, I can f dudes and not care about them is fundamentally broken. Her soul is broken.
Okay, well, she's broken then, but she's still doing it.
Well, if she's broken, she ain't anywhere near me. I don't want no broken bitch near me.
Ooh. Ain't gonna lie, he's really spitting that fire right now. This is about the video's just about over anyway.
I'm definitely sure women would cheat on you.
You think so? Well, those are the kind of women I will not associate with.
Nice lie. No, but
all right. So let me give y'all my final thoughts real quick. Honestly, from everything I just heard, it's like, yeah, he speaks a lot of truth in at least according to these clips. Now I've yet to see more where he talks about more of the extreme stuff. Now I will make future videos on that, but from what I've seen so far in these particular clips, I don't see issue with anything he said here. Like, yeah, traditionally men have had more than one woman. It's like if every man just had one woman throughout time, I don't think the human population around the world will be as big as it is. Let's keep it a buck. I also think that, yeah, if a man is in charge, if a man is responsible for protecting this woman and, providing for her, make sure she has the best possible life, yeah, that gives her a degree of authority, and she needs to listen to that man so she can be guided in the right direction. Otherwise, the whole relationship could go to shit, And, also one more thing about like you said earlier, the matriarchies. Yeah, there's no matriarchy that's ever been, I don't think any matriarchy has ever been successful. Ever. Which is why them fighting against it is not a good idea, because we still need the patriarch to keep society functional. Right now, society here in the Western world is very dysfunctional. It's very anti-male. It's very, pro-woman's empowerment. And what has that done within the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years? It's made society worse, and it's not getting any better. You have a lot of people growing up without fathers in the home and don't know how to function normally as a human being. You have all these people it creates a whole world full of people who believe that feelings matter more than facts. Being weak is okay, and everything and bullshit like that. It does not work. It clearly does not work. And the future does not look great if things don't make a turnaround. But that's my thoughts on this whole thing. What do you guys think about these particular clips of Andrew Tate? Do you agree with them? Do you disagree with them? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? Let's talk about it down in the comment section below. I'll holler at y'all in the next video. Peace.